computers. We have workforce development facilities here in Norwalk that work with you with customer service, and there are a lot of other given training activities. The big box stores, you're talking about families becoming self-sufficient. Big box stores are hiring people to make $9.50 an hour or $8.50. The 2003 census told everybody that for a single person with no children to survive in Norwalk, you need to make $23 an hour. With that said, how can you expect a family of 3 or 4 children to actually do anything other than collect welfare and get food stamps? There's nothing else for them to do.
Any other questions? Mr. Hempstead, did you want to address that question?
It's about finding balance. I mean, you have to look at Norwalk, and you know, there was a term used a few years ago, which I think we're very appropriate for. It's called smart growth. If you look at Norwalk, everything kind of runs up the river, and we've got the mix of box stores, which provide entry-level jobs, which you need. And also we have Merit 7, which offers professional jobs, and all the companies that are up there. I was around in my first go-around with this when we actually voted to give up McGrath because we thought it was a great investment bringing Norwalk Community College to town. And I think that provides a great opportunity for our local kids to get a little bit of education without a lot of money into it that help them train to move up the ladder. I'm not opposed to big box stores. I guess you could say to some aspect of working for Stu Leonard's for 30-some-odd years that I worked for those, but I also know a lot of those provide great opportunities. You talk to some of the people who work in Home Depot. I know with Costco, some of those people get $7,000 in bonuses that are cashiers at that. So I think it's having the right companies come to town. But I think just to say blanket, I'm against a big box store. Am I against it? It's funny that we say that. If you go back 20 years, they were against big office buildings in Norwalk, too, at one point. And that's kind of how we wound up with Route 1, because everybody was opposing. They didn't want Merit 7 on Route 1. It's you know, it comes around, goes around kind of thing. So I think it's always about finding balance. And as long as Norwalk has the opportunity to provide both, that's why we wound up getting a AAA bond rating from everybody.
Okay, 2 more responses.
Yeah, that was actually the word that came to mind, which is balance. I think, you know, we have such a diversified community, and, you know, each community has different needs. Just like when we go knock on doors throughout this whole campaign season, each segment of our population, or each district, if you will, has different needs and different complaints, if you will, about their area and what they want to see better in that particular sector of our city. So it is about balance. And I think that as a young professional, as the youngest guy on this council, I'm 33 years old, I'll be 34 in November, right after this election, and, you know, all I'm hearing from my peer group is everything is just too expensive around here. There's no jobs that pay us well enough, so where are they going? Moving up north where it's cheaper, getting out of Norwalk where they actually love, and they don't want to move up the line because they do feel like it's a downgrade in some cases. However, they can't stay there. They can't stay there. So if we don't have a good balance of good corporate jobs and you know, big box stores, and look, since I've been elected, all I've been hearing is big box stores coming in, and I agree, $9, $10 an hour. I mean, that's just not going to cut it. How do people live off of that, really, in this town? You know, Stanford's doing an amazing job in bringing in big corporations, but, you know, I'm in finance, so I take a look at that. Financial services firms that, you know, people can actually make a living and pay their bills and have a lifestyle in this area of Lower Fairfield County.
Mr. Kimmel?
Yeah, BJ's is a particular example of everything that can go wrong when you start to bring in any kind of corporation. I don't think the issue with BJ's was the fact that it is a big box store. The issue with BJ's was that it was too large. It was on a Superfund site and not a brownfield site. Superfund sites can never be fully remediated. This was a few blocks away from the Norwalk River. The environmental reports were never released. We knew that traffic would be exacerbated, despite what the consultants were saying. And we did find out that the consultants did have reservations, and there were footnotes and asterisks and everything else in their reports. Now, the issue with big box stores, it's not just a question of the low-paying jobs. Okay? In Connecticut, you cannot tax inventories. You can tax office machinery. Big box stores are nothing but inventories. That's what they have inside. So you do generate less revenue than you would generate with other kinds of development. So there's some questions there. But as Mr. Hempstead said, times change and people's ideas change. The problem we have today, traffic-wise, on Connecticut Avenue is because when it was being developed, the West Norwalk Association and other organizations fought vehemently for big box stores, okay? And that's what we have now. So we have them. It was part of what happened in the past. Let's not make let's not make the same mistakes over again. But here we had, with BJ's, a lot of environmental issues, a lot of serious traffic issues. Everybody here, I'm sure, is familiar with the strange shape of Main Avenue. It's like a little wider than your driveway, with curb cuts every 25, 30 yards. It's
Mr.
a
Kimmel,
problem.
let's bring
One
the
last
answer
point
to
that's often made. I'd just like to add, we have major development going on in North Water Street. We have, I'm sure, major development that's going to take place in Washington Village. We have major development on West Avenue, in Waypoint. We have major permits being taken out for major development along the Norwalk River. Avalon, over here, is beginning to advertise, okay? So we should not get the idea here that nothing is going on in Norwalk. That is just not true. If you start to list all of the development that is going on in Norwalk, you may not like the particular kind of development or whatever,
Thank you,
but
Mr.
it's
Kimmel.
going on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have other questions?